Oh dear. Hello, I am the Irish guy, and okay, in this video, I'm gonna go through every Premier League club and pick the worst player from their rivals, you know, the team they hate more than anyone else. I'm gonna find that team's worst player who would start for you. This is gonna be an uncomfortable one, I know it is. It's like I'm matchmaking you with your sworn enemy down your local speed dating event. You're going to want to spit in their soup. Right, let's go. Arsenal Xavi Simons. I know, okay, Arsenal fans are absolutely looking at me with a big, fat, confused face. I know, right now you're giving me the same look I used to give my mum when she said they didn't have any Cocoa Pops in the shop, and so I had to eat warm porridge like an old woman who needs help to poo. But look, I said during the summer that Xavi Simons is a better playmaker than Ebereki Eze, and I'm gonna have to stand by it. And let's be honest, both guys have had lukewarm starts. They have. I mean, Eze just spooned over an easy chance from 3 yards out against West Ham. It was something I would have scored. Something your Aunt Margaret would have scored. Eze is a smooth player, but once Spurs unlock the full potential of Xavi Simons, this number 10 is suddenly going to make the likes of James Maddison look about as special as a Mr. Potato Head toy you might get in a Happy Meal. Come on, this 22-year-old has been through the books of Barcelona and PSG. He absolutely ripped the Bundesliga to pieces and has been a regular starter for the Netherlands for yonks. I mean, especially now that Martin Odegaard's body is crumbling like biscuits in the bath, then I think Mikel Arteta had the chance to wake up tomorrow and receive Xavi Simons in the post. Yeah, I think he'd pick him every week. Aston Villa, Jay Stansfield. I know. Okay, I know, don't look at me like that. I know Aston Villa's biggest rivals are Birmingham City, who've only just crawled their way out of League One. The same year Villa were beating bigwigs in the Champions League. I know the Blues have used their sneaky Hollywood power to bag players they have no rights getting. But still, seriously, trying to suggest that Unai Emery is actually jealous of a championship squad? No, just no. Try to select even one Birmingham player that would start for Villa. It's like me thinking that Rihanna would want anything in my house. What do you want? The spoon I use to clean my armpits with? Or the bin bag full of black banana skins? I know Emery would not look twice at Birmingham squad. It would be the same as me thinking that Harry Styles would want to sack off his chef to start eating dog food instead. But look, okay, the closest one I can find. Maybe Jay Stansfield would make the Villa bench. In fact, he probably would, okay? A quality 22-year-old second striker, attacking midfielder. Yeah, he just about scrapes being the bones of Premier League quality. Just about. I mean, he wouldn't start for Villa in the league, but he might get a few starts in the cups, maybe. But yeah, I know, I'm reaching. I mean, considering Sancho can't start for Villa, then I'm really reaching. Yeah, really, me trying to suggest this one really makes me look like a numpty. And maybe I shouldn't say numpty because someone else on the internet said that this week, and he then suddenly looked like he was in an episode of Father Ted. Bournemouth Gavin Bazunu. Bournemouth don't have rivals, okay? Not really, because all their fans are far too nice. Seriously, you could walk into the Bournemouth town centre, find the Cherries Ultras, insult their leader's mum, and he'd probably still buy you a coffee and a scone. They are so pleasant. I would imagine their idea of hooliganism is turning up to an away day to complain about the halftime crumpets, or tell the opposition steward that they don't like his haircut. Bournemouth are so nice, but I guess their rivalry is with Southampton, even though the Saints are far more focused on pompous. So it is kind of awkward, but hey, I do think that the Southampton #1 goalie, Gavin Bazunu, who has won his #1 spot back in the championship after Aaron Ramsdale went off to eat ice cream on the Newcastle bench, I'm gonna say he would start over Georgia Petrovic and Bournemouth's net, who I've never really rated all that highly. It's close, I know it's close, but yeah, I'm going with Gaz Baz. But again, I'm probably only biased because, yeah, I met him last Christmas and he was a lovely guy, but I'm still gonna go with him. But yeah, it is weird to think that I actually met Bazunu at Stamford Bridge. I actually shook hands with a millionaire. I probably shouldn't have watched it then. Brentford Ryan Sessegnon. Ryan Sessegnon has saved his career. Lads, ever since quitting Fulham as a mega impressive teenager for Spurs, his body seemed to continually break down as if his muscles had been replaced by dead worms. So when he came back to Craven Cottage after failing a try at Crystal Palace, I fully thought he was done, especially when he'd only played 5 minutes by February. In fact, his return to Fulham at all was pretty confusing. But since then, 4 goals from left wing back last season. He's forced his way into Marco Silva's starting 11 this time out. And yeah, he's looked really good. Silva's absolutely rebuilt him. His career was at rock bottom. He was an unemployed bag of milk. And I'm going to say that this version of him right now would wedge his way past Brentford's Aaron Hickey at left wing back, who he himself is also slowly putting together his career after being out injured for 2 years? Seriously, Hickey was quality at Bologna in Serie A, yes. But I'm guessing he now must feel so stiff after every match that he's unable to sit down for 6 hours, and so probably has to make it in the sink. Brighton Daichi Kamada. I know Brighton have had an embarrassment of attacking midfielders over the years. So much so that they were able to just casually give Chelsea 2 of them this summer without caring. However, a year ago, Japan midfielder Daichi Kamada looked like a useless Crystal Palace flop flop after joining on a free from Lazio, right? But this season, Oliver Glasner has clearly been fighting him 9 balls of Weetabix a day because Kamada has been sensational, smoothing himself into Eze's attacking midfielder spot in midfield. He has looked the business for Palace, and yeah, I know Paraguayan hotshot Diego Gomez recently scored 4 in a single match, but I reckon this version of an on-fire Kamada would squeeze himself into Hertzler's team. Burnley Todd Cantwell. Here we go, a proper ugly rivalry. Brighton and Crystal Palace seem like a posh hipster rivalry, right? Where both sets of fans probably agreed to meet at a sleepover at their mum's house just so they could have a raucous pillow fight in their PJs before sharing a box of hazelnut cookies to sit down and watch Bridget Jones. But Burnley and Blackburn. But when you think of Burnley and Blackburn, I'm sorry, but you think of a couple of fat slobs putting down their pub breakfast, wiping egg yolks off their chin to start swinging toasters in the street. This is an old-fashioned, old-school British Boris Derby. But would this Burnley team take a single Blackburn player? Maybe Todd Cantwell, maybe. Who is a talent? Yes. I mean, 5 years ago, was at Norwich, Arsenal fans were wanting to sign him. Yeah, he then joined Bournemouth on loan and suddenly saw his hype get deleted after, yeah, he looked about as strong as seeing your grandma trying to lift a toilet at a B&Q. And I don't know if a luxury midfielder would suit this current defensive Burnley team. Maybe not. But for the winnable home matches where Scott Parker really needs to actually go and try and win games at home against the likes of Sunderland, then maybe he'd wedge himself into midfield. But then again, maybe Parker just wants midfield lumps instead. Chelsea Guglielmo Vicario. Chelsea have become a big club, but what they really lack is an actual rivalry still. I'm not even gonna choose Fulham for this one, because it is the poshest rivalry in the world. There's never any fans kicking off. No, Fulham and Chelsea fans probably join each other for croissants in Harrods the morning of the match. Chelsea fans hate Spurs, but Spurs hate Arsenal far more, so again, it's a little awkward. But if I had to pick one Tottenham player, the worst one, who would start for Chelsea, it's the goalie, Guglielmo Vicario. I mean, he's not perfect, but he's better than Robert Sanchez, who's more of a walking accident than Mr. Bean. Crystal Palace Jean-Paul Van Ecke. Look, it is tough to dislodge any Crystal Palace player right now. And this feels so mean to pick on Chris Richards, who's actually had an amazing year at Sellers Park. And look, I know Richards was at a massive Bundesliga giant, yes, but Van Ecke is squeezing himself into the Netherlands team when that nation has been going through their biggest ever golden generation of centre-back. But yeah, go on. Van Ecke get in Palace's team. Everton Curtis Jones. Most Liverpool players would start for Everton. This is not really shocking news. Come on, don't look at me like I've just said that the rabbit off the Nesquik box is attractive. No, it is obvious that most Liverpool players would absolutely walk into the toffee side. The worst one, Curtis Jones. Okay, I think he would easily dislodge James Garner in midfield. Yes, of course he would. Okay, many Liverpool fans moan about Jones, yes, but because he's absolutely bottom of the pile for talent in this squad, the scouts long staff. But hey, okay, he would march into Everton's midfield for fun. Although I'm guessing if you asked him to do that, he'd probably barf into his Weedos. Fulham Jordan Edison. Back to the Brentford versus Fulham rivalry. Again, it's such a non-spicy rivalry. It's just like watching two cousins squabbling over who gets the last banana pie. But hey, Fulham's squad now trumps Brentford's one with ease. But the worst be to start for Silva every week. I'll go with Jordan Henderson, who most people thought would be a completely finished sweat patch in the league. Don't forget, I mean, he's since played in the Saudi Pro League since leaving Liverpool. Everyone was expecting him to be a finished, washed up potato, but no, I think the 35-year-old has actually been pretty good. And also, he's still a current England international. Of course he'd squeeze past Sasa Lukic into Fulham's midfield. Although, Liverpool did actually try to sell Henderson to Fulham in 2012, and it sounds like he reacted to that as if you'd asked him to slurp monkey sick off the floor. Leeds, Tyrell Malacia. Tyrell Malacia is average Mosley. Seriously, when Manchester United bought him from Feyenoord 4 years ago, he was seen as a mini Dutch Evra. No, he was frozen out of just one season. He gets a pointless loan switch to PSV where he doesn't do anything, and is now back at Man United to just make the tea. Look, I don't even think it's a foregone conclusion that he would start for Leeds. It would absolutely be a battle between him and Gabriel Gudmundsson, who is, to be fair, a full Sweden international left back. It would actually be surprisingly close, much closer than it probably should be, but yeah, I think he just edges. Liverpool, Jack Grealish. Okay, Liverpool have equal levels of hatred for both Everton and Man United, right? I think the Man United answer would be Bruno Fernandes, the only player in Amram's squad who would start for a fully fit Liverpool. As for Everton, I think there's only one toffee who'd scrape a Liverpool start, and surprise, surprise, it just so happens to be the £100 million treble winner. Look, Jack Grealish would have a fight on his hands with Cody Gakpo for the left wing spot, but if you're looking at current form, then yeah, if Arne Slot had to pick between these two in the morning, then maybe Grealish. He's in very good form for Everton right now. This thinks of Grealish at Villa back in 2020. Look, I rate Gakpo, so this would be close, but yeah, I think Grealish would squeeze a Liverpool start. Man City, Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is the only correct answer here. And even then, I'm not even that sure. It will come down to whether you're choosing Bruno Fernandes or Phil Foden. And on their day, when they're both at their best, then Foden is the better player. However, Fernandes is way more consistent, because while Foden can be excellent. Oh, he can also go 6 months, or he looks like an anonymous snowman melting on the pitch. It's very Eden Hazard, and especially at international level. Has Foden ever looked good in an England shirt? The answer is a big fat no, whilst Fernandes is just 4 goals away from becoming the 5th highest goal scorer in Portugal history. So if I had to pick one, then Bruno. I know it's close, okay? It really is, but I just think if Bruno had joined Man City in 2020, then maybe Pep would have turned him into another KDB. Maybe. Man United, Jeremie Frimpong. Lads, Manchester United hate both Liverpool and Man City with equal measure, right? So I'm just going to pick a player for both, okay? For Man City, I think it is very embarrassing that, yes, we're at a stage now where the noisy neighbours have a third-choice goalkeeper who doesn't make their matchday squads, who would probably walk in the Man United's team with these. Seriously, Stefan Ortega is probably the best third-choice goalie in the world. A 32-year-old who's played over 50 games for City and has absolutely contributed to them winning multiple trophies when he stepped in to make excellent saves, like Tottenham away a couple of years ago. And it is weird that he's been completely frozen out, losing his place to a Burnley chump. Okay, that's me. James Trafford is still decent, but still, Ortega deserves to play football. And so picking a Liverpool player, Jeremie Frimpong. He doesn't look like he's gonna really work at Liverpool because he's a wing back and they don't play with wing backs. So under Arne Slot, giving him Frimpong is basically giving Big Sam an extra small t-shirt for Christmas. It's not gonna fit, but if Frimpong was playing under Amorim, he would smoke most left backs in the league, running them ragged all game as the right wing back. In the right team, Frimpong would look elite, just like he did with the Leverkusen Invincibles. I mean, come on, Victor Moses once won the Premier League playing right wing back every week for Chelsea. Put Frimpong in a brilliant team with wing backs and he'd look phenomenal. Newcastle, Granit Xhaka. The only one, the only answer. And lads, when Newcastle were taken over, I never, ever thought that a single Sunderland player would ever get into the Magpies team ever again. Then again, I stupidly thought that Newcastle would have the likes of Mbappe up front by now. I didn't think that the officials would soon put a close peg on our purse. Lads, I thought the first signing of the Newcastle regime was going to be Eden Hazard. Whoops. But yeah, no, we're at a stage now, for the first time since Defoe was sold, that a Sunderland player would walk into Newcastle starting 11. Look, I think Joe Linton is a wonderful beast. A brilliant player, but you can't deny the midfield of Bruno, Tonali and Granit Xhaka. That is better levels of technique, and let's be real, that in itself is a Premier League winning midfield. It's saucier than a toothpaste sandwich. Don't knock it till you tried it. Sunderland Joe Willock. I debated picking Newcastle outcast for this one, but nah, let's be real, considering Sunderland poured money to make this fancy new squad, then no, the likes of Lascelles, Asula and Mighty would not start for Sunderland. Now, the worst player who would, I'll say Joe Willock, who I think would be shoehorned into the wide areas in Sunderland's attacking midfield 3. I mean, come on, if a sloppy apple core like Bertrand Traore was able to start last weekend, then yeah, surely a former Arsenal wonderkid would get that spot, because Willock is a decent bottom half footballer. He actually belongs at a team the level of a Sunderland. Tottenham, Gabriel Jesus. I considered Kepa for this one. I actually think it's far better than most people think, and I think him choosing to go and rot on the bench for Arsenal is an absolute massive waste. Choosing to turn his back on first-team football at Bournemouth just to go for the cheap, easy ego boost that a big club like Arsenal actually wanted him, it was ridiculous. But no, for this one, Tottenham need a striker so badly. Neither Richarlison or Solanke are anything close to being prolific. I mean, neither is Gabriel Jesus, to be fair, and he is an Arsenal flop. But don't forget, the Brazilian is someone who had 2 consecutive 20-goal-plus seasons at Man City. He's only 28. I'm saying it now. He's better than anything Spurs have up front. West Ham, none. I know West Ham are in a mess, but come on. Their biggest rivals are Millwall. Look through the Millwall team. There's no one. Next, Wolves, Samuel Illing Jr. Surely Samuel Illing Jr. is still Premier League quality. Look, I know this Aston Villa wing-back has been coughed out on loan to West Brom, but come on. Lads, just last year, he was getting regular game time with Juventus. I know a loan switch to the Championship at this stage of his career would probably feel embarrassing, but surely he's still skillful enough to start for a crisis team bottom of the league who just so happened to play with wing-backs. Surely he'd start for Wolves. Surely. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Don't forget to give a like, channel, guys. I'll talk to you in a while.